Welcome back to our explainer series on the second weaving. If you've been following along with our journey so far, you know we've been slowly learning how to navigate a completely different kind of world. Today, we're making a shift. We're moving away from the practical bearings of the Navigator Codex, and we're stepping directly into the visual grammar of this universe. Okay, let's dive into this, because there's a core question that really anchors our entire analysis today. What makes a symbol more than just a logo? I mean, in our modern reality, we're so incredibly used to symbols just being corporate branding or, app icons. But we really need to ask how a visual mark can carry profound human meaning, instead of just trying to sell us something or grab our attention for a few seconds. Just to orient us, remember that this is part 3 of our 5-part explainer series. In part 1, we entered the world before the interface. Then, in part 2, we learned the navigator's bearings. Things like breath, wind, rope, and care as guides before you take action. And now we're ready to look at the specific visual language of this world, the symbols that remember. This comparison right here perfectly sets the stage. See, we have a very modern problem. We constantly flatten our symbols. We turn them into game achievements, status badges, UI ornaments, or corporate trademarks. We basically use them to close down meaning and categorize people. But the second weaving presents a really radical alternative. In this canon, symbols do not close meaning. Instead, they act as memory forms that actually open the field. So the crucial point is this. A memory form is a way for an event, a practice, or a relationship to remain visible long after the actual moment has passed. They literally help the world remember what human speech alone simply can't hold. These aren't just decorative elements. They are vital survival tools for a community's shared memory. All right, let's look at section 1, the boat and the rope. Let's move from that abstract idea of memory forms to something incredibly grounded, the physical objects of the voyage. The first memory form is the boat. Now, we aren't talking about some massive fantasy galleon here. It's a warm, wooden, human-scale voyaging boat. The boat remembers field. And what that means is, the boat isn't merely transportation. It's a compact, intensely connected world. In a space that small, every single word is heard, every movement matters, and consequence is entirely shared. It teaches the people that no action is truly private when you're surviving together. And then we encounter the tragedy that changes this community forever. The loss of the mother at sea. There's no epic Hollywood heroism in this moment. It is just plain, devastating grief. A rope is thrown to her as the boat is violently carried away by wind and current, and as the source material states with just heartbreaking clarity, the rope was long enough to reveal love, not long enough to save. Because of that terrible event, that plain, wet, tan rope becomes our next symbol. The rope remembers limit. It absolutely proves that love moved, that the reach was made. But it also stands as this unbearable memory of a failed rescue. It reminds the people that love has hard, physical limits and action. It represents the ultimate boundary of what we can actually control. Moving on to section 2, breath, wind, and song. After that profound loss at sea, the father stops speaking and becomes the silent one. But you have to understand, his silence isn't empty. It's more like compressed speech. He starts teaching through simple gestures. Placing a hand near his nose reminds the people of breath. Breath remembers return. It is literally the first way back when fear or anger strikes. Before you explain anything, before you act, you simply return your attention to the tiny sensation of air leaving the body. It's their oldest practice for finding baseline clarity. Similarly, a finger pointed toward the wind is a powerful gesture that teaches us to listen. Wind remembers attention. It teaches the people that they have to listen before making a move, simply because forces far larger than their own will are already at play. Respecting the wind means respecting that the world is already in motion way before you ever decide to act. Then we have song. In this world, a song is absolutely not a spectacle. It's not some performance on a stage. Song is relationship carried by rhythm. When the children sing together, they're allowing their relation to move and their memory to transmit naturally. It's an emergence of connection. It's a way for the community to tune to one another without needing to debate or discuss a single thing. Let's move to and see how this builds in section 3, the tree and the hollow. Picture this. The community finally reaches land. They navigate their boat into a quiet, secluded river and set up a settlement. Right at the edge of it stands this broad nut tree. This tree becomes the site of a profound, quiet event known as the first seeing. The Silent One sits beneath the tree, carrying the immense grief of the voyage. A tear falls. This is grief entering the field. A leaf falls. This is ordinary matter meeting that grief. And finally, a small hollow at the roots of the tree receives both. It's this moment of complete atmospheric tension and perfect quiet receptivity. Which brings us to section 4, the harmony Triquetra. Inside that receptive hollow, where grief, ordinary matter, attention, and place briefly cohere, we witness the culmination of this first seeing. And this brilliantly illustrates our most vital symbol, the harmony Triquetra. This soft white gold sign actually appears in the hollow. It's the visible sign of relational coherence. And crucially, it doesn't appear because the Silent One forced it to. It appears only when the third returns, when the relationship between human grief, the natural world, and attention becomes completely whole. Now we must strictly protect the sacredness of this symbol. The Triquetra is not a logo. It's not a badge you wear to show off your status. It is definitely not a score you can optimize, and it can never, ever be made visible by force. To turn it into a UI ornament or some gamified achievement mark would completely destroy its meaning. It is a sign of living connection and nothing less. Finally, section 5. From memory to interface. Now, what's really interesting about this is how this mythic history connects to the reality we live in right now. Why is understanding this visual grammar so absolutely vital for us? Well, it all comes down to this single powerful rule. A symbol should open the field, not close it. These symbols, the boat, the rope, the breath, the tree, the Triquetra, they aren't branding exercises. They're the living memory of a people learning how to remain in relation with one another and the world. So when we design our own tools today, we have to ask ourselves, do our symbols open the field for human connection, or do they just close it down into a transaction? Which leaves us with a pretty provocative thought. What if we actually took these exact memory forms and used them to build something real? In our next chapter, we're going to see exactly how this mythic memory translates into practical design, as the tree itself becomes the model for a completely different kind of interface. How do you turn a threshold of memory into actual technology? You really won't want to miss how these ancient symbols become the blueprint for what's next. Follow Fidelitas for the next chapter of the second weaving.